Hey, welcome to the Diary of an Apartment Investor podcast. I'm your host, Brian Briscoe, and this is one of our weekly multifamily brief episodes. And if you've been following, you've probably noticed a trend. Every Wednesday, we release the multifamily brief episodes, and Mondays and Fridays are the days we release episodes with real guests. So today, you're just going to hear me talking. All right, not a big deal. But I have something that's really been on my mind lately. I had a conversation with an absolutely delightful woman, British by birth, living in Arizona right now. I guess if I go any further, people are going to start figuring out who it is. But we were talking, and at one point, I compared myself to another person in this business. All right. And I don't necessarily think comparisons are bad, but the comparison went something like this, hey, the me and this other guy both started in multifamily right about the same time. We were both in coaching programs right around the same time. His coaching program, he was different coaching programs, but he has since, absolutely taken off. He's easily 10x the amount of, multifamily units, and not just unit count, but 10x the assets under management, like the total dollar value of the portfolio. Anyway, we're talking about that, and the woman I was talking to asked me a question, and very, very insightful question. She said, "Why do you think there was a difference? You guys both started at the same time, and he's 10x what you've done." And I really thought about that, and I just so happens that the guy that we were talking about has been on my podcast before, and I remember talking with him 2 years ago, very specifically, and the answer that I came up with, and if I've ever had a light bulb moment, this was one of them. When I started out, my goal was to replace my annual income. Okay, that was my goal. And I've been doing Miracle Morning for a while, and every morning, starting like 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago, every morning, one of my daily affirmations was to replace my annual income through multifamily investing. And that's something that I focused on every single morning, to replace my annual income, to replace my annual income, to replace my annual income. Well, guess what I did? I replaced my annual income, because that's what I was focusing on. And this other syndicator, this other gentleman I'm talking about, who's been able to 10x my performance, when he came on my podcast, his goal wasn't to replace his annual income. His goal was to go big. And from the beginning, his goal was to go big. And if you look at where we're both at right now, yes, he's 10x to me, but there's only one person that I have to look in the mirror at in the morning and be happy with. But my goal was to replace my annual income. So that conversation has gotten me thinking a lot about goals, and what the importance of goals are. And kind of something that I'll never, ever know is what would have happened had I reached a little bit higher. What would have happened had, instead of my goal being to replace my annual income, what if my goal was, instead of replacing $150,000 a year, what if my goal was 250 or 300,000 or 500,000 a year? Or what if my goal was to have, $1 billion in assets under management? Would I have been in a better spot now had I made larger goals? I can't help but think the answer is yes, because I was focused every single day, replace my annual income, replace my annual income, replace my annual income. And when I got out of the Marine Corps, when I retired, I'm like, hey, I've replaced my annual income. I don't think I worked as hard as I could have, because I knew that, replacing the annual income was the goal. Anyway, long story short, I think what we set as our goals, what we set as our aspirations, and what we tell ourselves is achievable is going to greatly affect how far we go. All right. Now, bring things into the current. Okay. The week between Christmas and New Year's, I did something that I rarely do, and I took an intentional break, from social media. I didn't answer a lot of emails. I didn't schedule any phone calls during that week. And, of course, my kids were home from school and whatnot, and we did certain things with them, but I spent a lot of time thinking about where I wanted to go. And I set some larger goals than I had in the past. And with those larger goals, I had a 10-year and a 3-year set of goals that I wanted to hit. I set two big quarterly goals. All right. The two goals, number one was to launch my coaching program. All right. Made that goal the last week of December, first week of January. Okay. Launch a coaching program. Well, guess what? As of, I think, March 8th, the program was launched. All right. And so far, I have about 10 people that are in the coaching program right now. So big check in the box on that goal. The second thing that I made my quarterly goal was to make one hire, to hire an acquisitions director in the Salt Lake City metro area. And at the time I did it, I didn't even know where to start on hiring somebody. But that was my goal. That was something that I focused on, and something that I repeated to myself every morning, doing the Miracle Morning. These are the two big things I want to do before the end of the quarter. And as of March 20th, I've hired my acquisitions director. So think hard about the goals, think hard about where you're going. All right. And think hard about how big and how high you want to go. All right. Where you set your goal is probably where you're going to come in, is what my take is on this one. Anyway, that's it for today. Set your goals high, and we'll see you again on Friday with another Ask the Expert episode.
Hey, if you like that episode, make sure you hit that subscribe button. But more importantly, if you haven't joined our multifamily educational community, the Tribe of Titans, yet, you are missing out. So get yourself 30 days free by clicking the link below in the description, or go to thetribeoftitans.info, and we'll see you there.